When your eye is red. Now, to be fair, it's only one eye that's red, okay? It's not both of them, but it is getting red, and I just put an eye drop in there in one of my eyes and trying to fix it, trying to recorrect itself. Hopefully, it's not serious, you know what I mean? That would be a big bummer, but. Anyways, it's mostly because I probably just got a little bit of dry eye, you know what I'm saying? Just a little bit of extra dryness to it, and haven't been properly taking care of my eye health. You know what I mean? Haven't been eating my fair share of carrots. I guess it's mostly like, you could attribute it to all kinds of things: my phone, my monitor, my laptop, the lights in my room, you know, maybe looking up into the sun or whatever, you know what I'm doing. So it's things like that probably just like really just are burning my eyes and keeping it red. So I don't know. I just feel like this is not like a total ailment. I'm not disabled from this. Although I did think about wearing an eye patch, like buying an eye patch from like the whatever the medical aisle or whatever, wherever they sell like bandages and whatnot. I'm sure they have that on sale, or maybe I can get it on Amazon or whatever and just like cover my eye just to make sure that like it retains its moisture, and that way I don't keep on worrying about it all hours of the day. But anyways, I just want to say another thing, like about the last I mean, like, what episode was it? I think it was like it was last week's episode where I was talking about I was ranking the superhero costumes and I didn't show the superhero costumes. That was a minus on my part. All right, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Whenever I do those like Liwu Fufus or whatever, whenever I do those ranking stuff, I should probably definitely have that on camera to like show like what I'm doing. It's not enough for me to just describe it. And also, it was pretty long. I didn't like by the time I looked at the time on there, I was like, "Dang, I didn't realize it was going to be like 40 minutes." You know what I mean? And that's not like long for podcasting, but it's long of like me describing or talking about superhero costumes. And so I just feel a little bit bad about that episode in particularly because as soon as I finished it, I was like, maybe I should re-record it and do it a new way, but I felt like that wasn't genuine enough, and then I was kind of like maybe overthinking it a little bit, and then I just kind of like woke up and realized that like it may not be perfect, but we still have to put out an episode. You know what I mean? We still have to put out an episode of the podcast, and I don't know. I just felt like that wasn't my obviously that was not my best work, but it was definitely like something I guess I could have. It was something I could have done better, or something I could have worked on a little bit, just to make sure that you know everybody could get like a visual on that. And like how I did the visuals for the Marvel movies. That was a cool visual, and that was a cool moment for me to kind of but that was a build up, you know what I mean? These were superhero costumes. I felt like I could describe them very well enough. Um and the thing that really bummed me out when I was doing that ranking was more so like what's it called? There were costumes in there that were so old and so like distasteful that it was like it was kind of weird how I was like, why am I ranking these costumes? Like they're obviously not gonna win. Like you know what I mean? Like the 1960s Batman and Robin suit, like compared to like the Ben Affleck or the Christian Bale or to the Robert Pattinson Batman suits, it was just kind of like, what? Why is this here? Like, I get it's a live action cartoon like comic book costume, but like I just felt a little weird about that, and I was just like, I don't know. I didn't know those costumes would be in there. Had I known those costumes were in there, I never would have like entertained the whole list. But normally they do a pretty good job of like keeping those costumes in check. And then I also felt bad about it because I was just kind of like it would have fit for the Halloween theme or like the a costume and people dressing up in superhero costumes and whatnot. So I think it would have fit in that thing, but it just didn't end up happening. And that was just a bad episode, not one of my favorites. And I mean, I guess you could basically say this whole podcast is full of bad episodes, but they're more so just a way for me to get out some ideas and talk about whatever. And I don't know that episode in particularly, or the ranking ones. I feel like I could be a little bit more descriptive, or I could share a little bit more of my thought process. But because there were so many costumes to like rank and review and to kind of talk about, and some of them I didn't even really know, I just felt like I had to speed through it. But yeah, anyways, that was just a prime example of like a video that I put out that I was just like, I was just putting it out for the sake of putting it out. And sometimes it does be it is like that. Like sometimes you just like the creativity, or you just don't get the right idea at the right time. And for me, that idea was just like, that was not, I mean, it wasn't a bad idea to rank them, but it was just like I wasn't in it, or I wasn't like fully like, I was just doing it just to do it because I needed it for the episode, not so much that like I was really excited about doing it. I was just kind of like, I need an episode. I think this would be a good idea, but then I executed it poorly. So, in conclusion, I just feel like that was a poorly made episode. I'm still gonna keep it up though. I'm still gonna keep it out there. Um, yeah, it's just, it is what it is. But the one that won that one was the Spider-Man costume, and I guess, man, just the Spider-Man costume itself is just so masterfully done. And yeah, I don't know, I guess everybody's kind of like, who doesn't love Spider-Man? You know what I mean? I just don't see it. I don't see how anybody chooses any other costume other than a Spider-Man outfit or a spider suit or whatever. It's just, it's so iconic, it's so cool. It's the definitive, like, for me at least, it's the definitive superhero costume. The Superman costume is kind of like, it's classic, but it's kind of not, it's not Spider-Man, you know what I mean? And then the Batman costume is also iconic, and definitely an iconic one, and definitely like everybody's favorite. But I don't know, I feel like just for me, the Spider-Man costume just feels a lot, it looks a lot better. It's a lot more bright, it's a lot more colorful, it's a lot more fun. And the Batman costume is just kind of like only at night, and that's about it. It doesn't really work for me in the same way as the Spider-Man costume. And there's also a black Spider-Man costume, the symbiote suit. So, that we got that going for us. And also the Night Monkey. Don't forget Night Monkey. Don't sleep on Night Monkey. But anyways, yeah, I just wanted to clear that up. Just wanted to get that off my chest. That episode was not my best. It sucked. And then I went onto the YouTube for my, I wanted to go make sure that it was uploaded like properly, like on the time that it was. Because sometimes I'll like, how it'll be like, sometimes I'll post it at like 12 a.m. like on the Spotify channel, or on like, yeah, wherever I post it. You can schedule it to like be at 12 a.m. or like 12 p.m. or 8 p.m. or 8 a.m. and stuff like that. And I think I remember one time I vividly like, I thought I hit the 12 a.m. Like I wouldn't have to do anything to it, but then it turned out I had scrolled down and I had made it at 12 p.m., which was so weird to me. But like, I guess that's what happened, and it was just a weird thing for me. But anyways, long story short, that last episode, or the costume ranking one, was not my best, and somebody gave that video a dislike on the YouTube channel for the Win Your Podcast, and I was just like, yeah, that makes sense, but I'm happy that somebody was engaging with the channel at least, so that made me feel good. But it was also kind of like, well, it wasn't the best I could have done. So if that was the one video they're judging me off of, or the one episode of the podcast, then I definitely have some work to do. And yeah. Anyways, back to my red eye. My red eye. I mean, it's probably mostly my room. I have the fan on all the time. I have multiple fans on because my room gets really, really hot, and obviously I don't have the fan on right now, because if I had the fan on, you guys would hear it in the background the whole time, and that messes up the audio. And then I was like, what can I do? Like, because sometimes when I'm recording, or like I'm doing other recordings for like my gaming channel, or for obviously this podcast, and like maybe maybe something else, you know what I mean? It's like I have to sit down and I have to record and I have to talk into the mic, and sometimes I get like really burnt up and like sweaty, and I don't want to be sweaty while I'm on camera because then you could see like the sweat glistening off of me. But then like I can't have the fan on because the fan makes too much noise and I don't want that in the background. And so it's like I could reduce the noise with like the filter, but the filter doesn't drown it out completely. So it's just I only have one choice of turning off the fan and like suffering through it. But I do it, you know what I mean? That's just what I do. But then the fan probably is the reason why I have like this red eye, just this dry eye. And it's not so much like a pain, you know what I mean? It's just more so like a feeling like I can feel like it's kind of dry, but at the same time it's like I blink or I give like a faint yawn of some kind. And yeah, my eyes will water and I feel like okay, I'm good, but then I look in the mirror, my eye is still red, and I'm just like, okay, what am I doing? So I gotta put like more eye drops into my eyes to make sure they stay moisturized and they stay good. But it's not like a stinging or a burning or like any kind of thing like that. It's just more so like it's visibly red and I just don't know how to make it go away. But anyways, and speaking of yawning, it's the weirdest thing whenever I'm like talking into the mic or talking into the podcast, even though I'm not tired, I'll yawn. And maybe you guys have heard it throughout all of my episodes of like I'll sometimes speak and I'll take like maybe like a long pause or whatnot. And sometimes it's because I am trying to think of like what to say next. But other times I'm yawning and I don't want to talk while I'm yawning. And sometimes you'll hear it in the episodes, like probably a lot, maybe like every single episode where I'm talking and I say something kind of like in a weird tone, like just that, like right now, and I just yawn and I don't know how to stop that. I honestly don't know how to stop that. And it's not like I'm tired. It's like I'm ready to record. Like I'm ready. I'm excited. You know what I mean? Like I'm here. I'm here. But at the same time, it's like I guess I'm just not breathing right or something. It's just that like it's tough for me to gain oxygen or whatever. It's weird. It's really really weird, and I don't know. It's one of those weird things that like I can't stop and I don't know how to quit it. So it's just more so like all right, I got to get in front of the microphone and just yawn it out or whenever I can. Or something. You know what I mean? It's just one of those weird things that you do. And I don't want to do it, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know how to force myself not to do it. Which is why I think it's cool when people do podcasts in like a separate office. You know what I mean? Like they have their own personal recording studio and stuff. So that way when they go in there, they record and it's like, actually air conditioned and cool, and they can like make the space their own and whatnot. Whereas for me, I'm just doing it in my room, and it's cozy in here. You know what I mean? It's very nice and cozy, and it's not ow, I just hit my knee on my desk, but it's one of those things where it's you have somewhere to go to actually like work, and I don't know. I guess I've just gotten too comfortable like working from home or doing things from home or like in my room or whatever, and you just get to a point where it feels like you still have your schedule, you still do work, you still like put out videos or make sure that you have like what you need for the rest of the week or whatnot, but at the same time it's kind of awkward's not the right word, but I remember like going to school or like driving or commuting or whatever to school or college or whatever. And I remember feeling like I felt more productive there than I did at home, which is why I always felt like homework was like such a hassle because like I'm home, I don't want to do school here. Like I just rather if they held like an extra like tutoring or like if they had like an extra hour of like hey, you just stay at school and you can do your homework or whatever before you go home or like you know what I mean, if they like I guess if they kept campus open or whatnot. But I mean I guess it's different for college, but for me I was just like I want to get out of here and go home. I want to drive home. I don't want to do my I don't want to do my homework in the library or stay here an extra hour when I can like go home and do my homework on, because it was just so weird with college. It was so different because at school it was like everything was in person, and then once COVID hit, everything was online. And once everything was online, it was just kind of like I was basically kind of like just teaching myself at that point. You know what I mean? Obviously the teachers would do the Zoom classes and we would have to do like readings and whatnot, or we would have to learn about specific subjects and stuff like that. But I felt like they just could give me the prompt of whatever essay they wanted me to write, and I could write it. And as long as I stayed ahead of my work, as long as I was like proactive in like, my uh in my schoolwork, I always did well. I always did pretty well, and I always finished my assignments on time. Very well. Most of the time, I would wait until the last minute or the last day to like finish it. And I don't know, the productivity I had on that day, where it was just like the necessity to get an essay submitted or to get the job finished. It just like it stuck with me, all throughout it. So when I started like making a schedule for like this podcast, or for uploading on YouTube or YouTube Shorts, or when I started posting my YouTube Shorts on Instagram, it was just kind of like this constant repetition of like, no matter what, this has to get uploaded today, and this has to go out today, and this has to happen. And with all of that, it just kind of made the work was easy, but at the same time it was just kind of like, okay, you got to keep on going. Like the consistency is what really pays off in the end. You know what I mean? Not so much. Um, Obviously, you have to make good stuff. You know what I mean? So I guess that's where you could kind of like shoulder me, or you could like kind of punch me in the stomach, or like kick me in the leg or whatever, and be like, the reason why you're not doing as well as you should be doing is because you're not creating anything like of real high quality, I guess. But then I look at other people, and they just like they do the same thing, and they re-upload their like TikToks, or they upload like their another person's video onto their channel, and they get like hundreds of thousands of views, and I'm just like, what am I doing wrong? Like, am I not, you know what I mean? It's one of those weird things where it's just like I don't know. And then I look on the like on the page, and then I'm seeing like you can literally pay to boost your video or whatnot. So it's like it's a pay to win. So it's maybe not so much that my ideas are bad. It's more so that I'm not buying people's attention like maybe other people do. You know what I'm saying? It's weird. It's one of those weird things. But at the same time, uh, I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying it's that like, obviously the game is completely different now. It's if you started back in what 2013, 2014 on YouTube, or I don't know however long people stay on there for, and you were consistently uploading, it didn't matter what you were uploading at the time, as long as you could get people's attention. Now it's like it's a constant fight for people's attention, and it's less likely that people will follow somebody with like, only a couple hundred followers, whereas somebody with like 100,000 followers you'll follow, because it's like, oh, they're building their following, they have a pretty big following already, might as well follow them too. It's one of those, you know what I'm saying? And then you have no idea if they bought those followings or not. It's kind of like how people are with music. It's that like you can buy streams for songs. Isn't that crazy? It's weird, but it's the reality of things. And I don't know. I mean, I've definitely been like not thinking about it, but I've just kind of just been like, that's why I can't feel bad about being a bad YouTuber or podcaster or like content creator or anything like that. It's because like I'm not cheating, or I mean, but is that really cheating if they give you the option to do it? It's so weird. I mean, I wouldn't consider it cheating, but it is cheating, but not cheating. I don't know. It's kind of crazy, right? Because, like, let's say you did buy streams, but you're a really talented musical artist. And then buying the streams made other people go listen to your song, and they realize that, like, oh, you made a really great song, too. I don't know. It's just a matter of, like, I guess difference, what really makes somebody tick, or how do you build that kind of following organically and quickly. And there is no quickly in that kind of space. It's just more so like you got to keep on trying and you got to keep on upgrading and you got to figure out a way to improve every single time, every single video, every single day or week or, you know, month, year, something like that. You know, you just got to find an improvement or something new to like yap about or talk about and whatnot. And for me, I just, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like whenever I watch other people's podcasts, I like the whole setup that they got. I mean, I just look at the whole thing that they have. You know, they have a proper studio and lighting and editing and the right microphones and and a space where they can record and they talk to interesting guests. You know, and they're talking to like the president and they're talking to this governor and they're talking to this mayor candidate and they're talking to this other person and him and that and celebrities and all this other stuff. And it's like I can't compete with them, but I can still try. You know, I can still put out a podcast and I still can put out my ideas, if only so that my future self can hear them. And that was kind of the point of all this. It was just kind of for me to like mess around with. It wasn't really a huge thing. But then like, you know, you wake up and you turn around a couple of years later and you're like, okay, I'm not seeing any growth here. I'm just kind of talking into the void. And then you kind of feel a little discouraged, or I guess I could say I feel discouraged by it. But, you know, if only I listen to this, I think I'll have gained great understanding of who I am and, you know, it wasn't a waste. You know, I don't think this podcast was a waste. All 341 episodes, this isn't a waste. You know, it's just me. And regardless of if anybody listens to it, if I even get the chance to listen back to all of these, even if I want to listen to all of these, you know, it's just interesting, that's all. And obviously not doing it for the money. Obviously not doing it for the money. But, you know, if the money comes, might as well. But yeah, it's just one of those things. But anyways, I guess it just means that I got to put in, you know, a lot more into these. But right now I feel like I'm just building. Just building, building, building. Not working on trying to dominate or you know, because then you can like really see the growth. You can see the growth of this podcast or of my YouTube channels or of my Instagram page. It's like so that way when it happens, it's not like all of a sudden. It's more so like, oh, he's been posting. His schedule hasn't changed. He still uploads 2 podcasts a week. He still uploads daily on YouTube Shorts. He reposts his YouTube Shorts on Instagram Reels, and then he posts on his various YouTube channels like his gaming channel, and then on his the other channels and whatnot. You know what I mean? It's things like that that are really cool to think back on and to see that like he's been working at it. So you can't say that he's not like deserving of it. It's mostly just like how can how can he get better at it or what's his best way of improving? Stuff like that. But anyways, so all of that connected to my red eye is that I've just been sitting in front of my monitor playing Pokemon Legends ZA because I'm doing that for my gaming channel, and I feel like maybe that's why it's, you know, been a little bit exhausting on my eye is having the light like reflecting onto it and you know, sitting down without proper eye etiquette or, you know, proper moisture in my eye without proper like eye drops getting in there and helping me out, you know, but hopefully again it's nothing serious, and if I have to I'll wear an eye patch, but right now I don't feel any like pain in there. It's just it's red and I don't know what to do with it. So anyways, hopefully it goes away in a couple of days or weeks. I don't know when it might like go down or die, but Eventually, someday it has to go away. Eventually, someday it has to like subside or say like, hey, we're fine. Just kidding, we're fine. Sorry to give you that little scare, you know what I mean? But we'll have to wait and see. So, anyways, thank you guys so much for listening. When your eye is red, I mean, I looked on my phone and it was like mostly environmental stuff. They were like, your room is probably too well air conditioned, and I was like, I do have my fans on, and they were like, it's probably bacteria, and I was like, well, there is dust on my fan, so there is that. And then they were like, just try to remove yourself from certain environments, or from your phone or from looking into the light. And I'm just like, oh boy, that's gonna be a tough order, but definitely possible. Definitely should do that. So all of that is just to say that, like, when your eye is red, just try to think about all the things that you look at and try to figure out, like, maybe I shouldn't keep my eyes on the screens or whatnot. Take a little break off of there and get some eye drops, try to heal myself, try to figure myself out, and just keep on working towards my podcast and my gaming channel and all the other things that I'm working on. So, anyways, and in case you guys were wondering, you know what I mean? Not that you guys were wondering, or if anybody out there cares, but just thinking that, like, my other channels are obviously my main channel where I post my YouTube shorts daily. It's my Eduardo Gonzalez channel. And then I have my Silly Goose Village where I talk about manga. I talk about manga on there, specifically Boruto 2 Blue Vortex. I do want to talk about like other stuff, but I just don't know how to like transition it. And because every single month they put out a new manga for Boruto, I feel like I have to put all my energy into like talking about that. And if I miss like a day of like not talking about it, I feel like I wasted it. So then I feel like I should put out a bunch of ideas or a bunch of videos about it. But then in response, I should also put out videos about like other manga that I'm like that's out there, and other animes I'm watching. I also want to do reaction videos on there. I think reaction videos would be really cool for anime. Not so much like other TV shows or TV or movies and whatnot. Because I thought about doing that for this podcast, but then at the same time I was like, is that even a podcast? It's just a reaction channel. It's not a full on podcast. So I think I'm gonna stick to like reviewing or talking about movies that I like or movies that I watch and I have seen. So it'll stick to that. And then I have the Big Silly Goose Gaming channel, and I was just gonna call it Silly Goose Gaming, but somebody already took that name, so I have to come up with a different one. So then I was just like, all right, I'll do it bigger and better than this guy. So I said Big Silly Goose Gaming on YouTube, and I said Silly Goose Village, right, for the manga stuff. And then obviously the When Your Podcast on YouTube, available on Spotify and Apple Music, Apple Podcasts. And then I mean, obviously my Instagram, but enough with the promo, or enough with the plugging. Just in case anybody was curious, in case anybody cared. Not that you have to, but I'm just saying. Anyways, when your eye is red, all right, just make sure it's getting eye drops and staying healthy, and it's not getting too dry. All right, so figure it out. Everybody can fend for themselves, and that's about it. Thank you guys so much for listening. I'll talk to you guys all next time. Yeah.